Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I've got another little project that's been on my bench for a little while now. Picked up this boat in a trade with one of my best mates. He ended up with a nice big 5th scale FG Model Sport on-road tourer, and I ended up with another project. So I've been wanting one of these for a very long time now, and this one's in pretty good nick overall. A few little blemishes here and there. Not sure exactly how old it is, but I would guesstimate somewhere in the 10 to 15 year mark. So started life as a gas boat. I don't think these were ever optioned in electric. Not a lot of them around. I've seen a couple of videos online. RC Tanks and Trucks and Hobbies did a build video on this. He had a couple of issues with his. I think it's just undergone a rebuild, actually. So I'm keen to see how that turns out. But I'm going to throw my hat in the ring with it. So when the boat was picked up, my buddy stripped it and took the motor out, took all the webbing out for the motor mounts, etc. So we're just down to a completely, almost bare hull at the moment. So I just wanted to document the process of this build for anyone that's interested. So I just thought I'd quickly go over just a few bits and pieces that I'm going to be installing, what I'm doing with the boat, and this is going to be a long work in progress, so I don't know when the video will get released. Don't know if I'm going to do it in parts or just one big full hit. We'll see. So let's have a look at the bits and pieces we're going to be using today. So just today, I'm just making a start on the carbon inlay for the boat. It's a very thin hull. You probably can't see that, but there is a lot of flex in it. Going to brushless power, the thing's going to need some reinforcement to make sure it stays in one piece. So to that effect, look, I've done videos, I think, on how to do an inlay before, but essentially you cut a template out. I use a bit of just paper, and you can tape some newspapers together or whatever. And then you just cut out your carbon fiber to shape. I usually lay the paper on top of the boat, cut it out to shape and size, and then take off a couple of mil, obviously for the thickness of the hull, and that gets you pretty damn close to where you need to be. So I'm not going to pull the piece out that's in there at the minute, just so I don't finger the carbon too much. But the piece I'm putting in today is the top side of the deck. So the boat will be either on its nose or upside down while I'm gluing. We're just going to be using a bit of slow hardener in our epoxy today. West Systems, it's always given great results. Bits and pieces you're going to need. You're going to need some foam rollers, paint brushes. You need to sand down the whole thing. Use 80 grit, nice and coarse. Give the epoxy something to hold on to. Bit of masking tape where there's going to be previous ventilation bits and pieces that need to all be sealed up. So you're going to need all those. Just a quick trip down to Bunnings and you can pick all this sort of stuff up. The epoxy I just pick up on eBay or wherever. We've got a host of goodies to put in it. I've got a new stinger going on. Nice TFL Hobby stinger. Nice set of TFL ride pads. These, I've never used these before, but they look like they're going to be quite nice. Motor mount there. We've got some new turn fins. Decided to give these TFL adjustable battery trays a go. They look really good. They're bloody expensive, but we'll see. Should be able to reutilize the factory rudder. That's the actual rudder mount standoff with the rudder itself. These are just all the original parts that sort of came with the boat. The original flex shaft. Now, this is part of the reason why I'm going to the actual a different stinger, is just because, well, it's pretty old. It's a nice kit, but it utilizes these flanged bearings, and this particular shaft is not going to be terribly easy to come across again. So I wanted to make serviceability easier on the boat. So to that effect, we're going to be just installing just a good old brass tube ourselves, and just any old flex shaft will do. So that's easy solved. But yeah, other than that, we've got some, it's going to be 8S, I should mention. I've got a converted XLX2 that's coming out of another boat that I don't know what I'm going to do with that one yet, but it'll be an XLX2 running on 8S with a roughly 750 kV motor. So that should be swinging around 35,000, 38,000 RPM, which should be perfect. The object is not to have something insanely fast. It'll do a solid 100k an hour, but it's just something that I can just enjoy on the water. Here's an example of a template I've made. This is for the main inlay. You can see what I've done here, where when you put this on the outside of the boat and it's one piece, because it's such a deep V, these end up being kind of a funny shape, and it's impossible to lay flat to get the shape cut out. So I ended up cutting it down the guts here. In the actual boat, down the center, I will run a strip, and these will fold in nicely together, and should look quite good that way. So beyond that, just got to quit yakking and get into it. It's not my most favorite job in the world, but when it's done properly, it does transform the way these boats look. So next you'll see, she will have an inlay on the top deck. Okay, so we're all done with the inlay on the upper deck. Let's see if I can get you a shot here. There it is in all its glory. Decided to fill the tip while the boat's going to be sitting on its nose. Used about approximately 60 grams of epoxy on the upper deck, and I think about 30 grams plus a bit of carbon fiber chop in the tip. So that's all done. The slow epoxy was the play here. It takes a little bit longer to keep fingering it down. I really had to just take my time and make sure all this lip and in these corners stuck down nicely. But overall, you can see just there's one small bubble down there. Oh, it's all right. It's fine. Wrapped the tip in a nice cold towel, because the big bulk hit down in the nose gets quite hot as it dries, as it starts to go off. So that's that bit down. Next will be the main inlay down the guts. At some stage I didn't mention it, but I'm going to try and, I don't know, I'll touch this up. There's another little bit on the nose that I'm going to touch up. I'm not sure if I'll do that rear section there. I might just let that one slide, but I'll definitely take care of the tip. And yeah, that'll be in the next part of the video, the inlay anyway. I'm not sure when I'll get to the paint correction. We will. So I've got the main section cut out now. I didn't record, obviously, the cutting it out, etc., etc. But if I pop this in here, we've got one solid piece running the whole way down, and back up into here. You can see it sort of tucks up the sides there. So I'll still have to finish off down in these little corner areas and get that nice. And this is probably going to be upside down for you guys. All along these bits here, I got to cut some strips and put them on that as well. It is, it's actually not too bad there, but if you're doing it, just do the whole thing, that's for sure. So I'll finish off cutting out a few more bits and pieces and show you once we got that finished. Might actually get this done as well at the same time. Got to put the mesh similar to what's this in here, and then we'll go over the top of that. So you can see here where the other holes have filled in, so that makes it all watertight. We'll put a little dribble of epoxy into these just to finally seal it up and get a nice finish there. But yeah, she's on the way. Alrighty, so progress has been made. We have the main inlay in now. It turned out really quite nicely. Didn't use a whole lot of glue on it, so we're not adding tons of weight. You can see it goes all the way down to the bow, so pretty happy with that. The next part we're going to be working on is going to be these top side rails, the rear and this side rail. It's going to be a little bit tricky. I've cut out one piece for that. It's quite narrow up here, so it's kind of hard to get into that area. Don't want to fill it up with too much glue because water hoses have to pass through this, so I don't want it to be really crazy full of glue. So we'll see how we go. I've got this little guy here that actually reaches up quite decently, so I'm hoping I'll be able to get it in all the way down with that and get a decent job going. Also going to be sealing up the hatch. Has these little ventilation holes. I've taped them up from the outside, cut these little bits of carbon out just to cover them up. We'll glue those in, get that set, and then we will end up putting a full piece of carbon over the hatch just to beautify it a bit. So beyond that, there's going to be a few other little bits and pieces on the boat we need to get done. I've got to get something on the transom just to make that sort of a bit more seamless. I don't know if I'm going to do down in these little back sections here. I'm not sure. I might just mix up a little bit of glue with some graphite and just paint that in there just to make it a bit darker coloured so it's not so obvious, because that's actually a reasonably strong part of the boat in there with all those corners and joins. So I'm going to get into it and I'll show you once that's all done. Alright, those goodies are done. They're just gluing down now. Just keep fingering those down, those little edges and stuff. Get it all nice and flat. Like I said, we'll put a nice piece over that to beautify it. This piece is kind of impossible to show you easily. Get the light up there. So it's all down on there and all up on the sides there as well. Going all the way up. So I'm going to probably give you guys this little tidbit to start the series. I am going to break it down into parts. Soon enough we'll get that back piece on, and that'll be the end of the inlay side of things, and we can get to the more exciting bits, which is working out where we're going to put all the electronics in it. Like I said, I've got some really nice bits that I'm really keen on seeing inside this boat. I think it's going to be a really nice looking machine by the time we're all said and done. So if you want to keep watching, I don't normally ask anyone to subscribe or anything like that. I'm this close to getting 1,000 subscribers, so yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, thanks all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.